Hi everyone! So we are continuing this scavenger hunt. We are at the Pick and Save in Wautoma, which is located at N2573 Plaza Road, and that's right off of Highway 21 in Wautoma. And so we are going to be looking for all the colors we can find in the produce section and trying to name some of those food types. So we'll see you inside. So before even walking in, we can see outside that they have some produce. We got some red bell peppers, russet potatoes, which are similar to the potatoes that we saw earlier. We have some sweet onions, which are similar to those yellow onions that we saw earlier. And they even have ears of sweet corn. And if you look up close, you can see how there's fibrous hairs on the tip of it there. We have yellow and white kernels and a green outside. We are inside and masked up to be safe. We are about to explore the wide variety of colors that they have here at the Wautoma Pick and Save. You can see at this store that the produce section is very, very large compared to the last one we were at. We have the stuff that needs to stay cool on the outside in the refrigeration section, and the stuff that is able to stay on the counter in the center. And already you can see the variety of colors shining through, and we'll take a closer look at each of those. Alright, so as we walk in, we see a display with some cherries on it, so we're seeing that that matches with our reds there. As we slowly come down, we see these two types of melons again. We got the green striped watermelon and the very textured tan cantaloupe. And next to that we can see some familiar citrus. We have some grapefruit up top. We can see that matches that yellow color there. And we also have some yellow lemons. It is exciting to see so many different types of apples. So the Gala apples is right here, and we can see that there are different tones in the color. We have green, we have red, we have some colors in between. We come over and we see a Honeycrisp that is very similar. It seems to have a little bit more green to its color though, and a little less red compared to the Gala. Then, this deeper red, that's very luscious red, is a Ruby Frost apple. So we can see how these compare on our colors. So just like before, we see some pears. This time the green pears are called Anho, and there's also a red version of that pear. The size and the shape is very similar. It's the color that is different. We have one that's green and one that is a red, almost purple color. And we also have that familiar Bartlett that was the green that we saw earlier at the co-op. Here we have some shallots and some garlic. So shallots are closer to that purple, almost red-orange color, where the garlic falls on the white part of that color spectrum. And tucked to the side here is some fresh herbs. It's just basil, and we can see that that matches our green. It's a leafy, like spinach almost, smaller than that. Another green nearby are avocados. They have a harder shell, and then on the inside is the green flesh that you would eat. We inch over and now we can see a variety of tomato colors. We're starting with the green ones, and let's look at that tag. It does not have a specific name on it. It is just a green tomato, and this is just a red tomato. We don't have any specialty names with that, but I'm sure that the variety does have a name. Here is one that is a Roma. You can see they're a little more oblong and oval compared to these round reds. And here we have an heirloom section. So these are really fun. Their shapes are very unique. It almost looks like a little heart. And so we can see in just this section of tomato itself We have green stripes, red and yellow and orange coming through, yellow and green, and some even darker purple green ones up there. So tomatoes by themselves have almost every color of the rainbow available. Here are some Golden Delicious. They're called Golden Delicious, but they almost have a green tint to them. You can notice that they even have little freckles on them, similar to the pears we saw at the last store. We have a Red Delicious, and when you compare the two, you can really see how different the two colors are. All of their sizes and shapes are slightly different. Some are a little smaller, some are a little larger. Here we have Macintosh, which are red and green, and also Jazz Apples, which have some spots of yellow. You can tell there's a slight difference there. Green and red for the Macintosh again, and a red and yellow with some green for the Jazz. And here is that familiar lime green Granny Smith apple. Very shiny, smooth peel. That's the one thing about apples, they all have similar peels and they're all very smooth. And then we have a Fiji apple over here. It has a few different colors involved with it, but out of all of them, it's majority red. So we have been able to find blue on our list now officially. There are blueberries available here. They are very small and round. They're one of the smallest fruits we've found so far. There's different brands of it. We're not given a specific variety name, so for now we'll just call them blueberries. Their neighbors are a blackberry, and the blackberry has little teeny round parts to it, almost like little bubbles. It adds to the texture where a blueberry is very smooth. To continue on with berries, we have seen blue, and I would say the black is like a purple. So we've seen blue and purple so far. And now we've come to strawberries. We have that vibrant red color again. We can see those yellow little seeds that make them look like polka dots. And another red berry is the raspberry. You can see tiny little hairs on those. It makes them kind of fuzzy, just like a peach. They're much, much smaller than a peach, and they're a different shape. A similar fruit to a raspberry is a blackberry. They both have those round little kind of bubble sections to them. They have a textured outside. They are not smooth. Now this is this grape section. These are red grapes. But I would say they could almost be purple, but those are considered red grapes. And we have some nice bright green grapes up here, and the package claims that they taste like cotton candy. So that's a very unique version of a grape there. A newer one than what I'm familiar with. And as we inch over, there's one more. These are called black grapes. So we can see that they're very dark in color. I would classify them as a blue or a purple. We have had black and purple, so blue, purple. We've had green, and we have had red grapes. They are all very similar in shape and size, but their colors is what makes them different. So at the last store, we saw that there were orange carrots. But I would like to point out, look at this. This option of carrots has yellow, it has white, it has purple, it has orange. It has a rainbow of choices in one bag. And they all each have their unique flavor, but they are pretty much similar in size because they were cut down to be this way. Here is their wall of greens. You can see some of them come in packages, but we're going to take a look at the ones that are out of packages to make it a little easier. On the bottom we have romaine lettuce. It's a very, very long leaf lettuce. The leaves are very large and wide. You can see the veins of the stem. What a fun pattern that is. And when we look up here, this is a red leaf lettuce. So the base is green and bright and vibrant, and then it comes up to a rich purple color on the tips. They have very ribbony, ruffly edges. And the green leaf lettuce has the same shape and ruffles of its leaves, but a different color. And a fun thing about the produce section is that it blows out water once in a while. So that little spray is what keeps these greens moist and fresh. Up here, there is some Boston lettuce. So you can see it's a lighter in color, and those shapes, the edges, they're much more pronounced and kind of spiky. A very, very different texture compared to this romaine leaf that has this smooth, wide leaves. And similar to greens, we have some herbs up here. There's parsley and there's cilantro. They look very similar, but the flavor is quite different. Parsley is used often for a garnish, and I suppose cilantro is too, but I associate cilantro mainly with making tacos. It's one of my favorite toppings. The radishes are quite surprising. We can see that there's more than one color here, isn't there? We have some purple reds, we have some white, and we have vibrant red. So we got 3 options at this one. Look at those fun bright colors and how smooth their outside is and how green and luscious the leaves are. We'll just zoom in on those colors so you can see how different they are. We have the purple, the red, and the white. I find bell peppers to be so fun. We have orange, yellow, red, and green. So 4 different colors that we can see and compare on this rainbow. They all have similar sizes and shapes. It's the colors that make them different. And just like before, we may have green bell peppers and we may have green jalapenos, but they're not the same flavor, they're not the same size, and they're not the same shape. So just because they're the same color doesn't make them the same type of food. Green broccoli has a fuzzy top. It's very fuzzy, it has a fun texture, and it makes me think of trees. Like those are the leaves on top of the trunk. A similar food is cauliflower. It has that same fuzzy texturous top, but its color is different. We can see one is white and one is green. An exciting purple vegetable is an eggplant. You do not always see these often in stores. It is definitely fun to cook with. I enjoy them in pasta dishes. I've also had them breaded like chicken. You can see they're wet and moist from the spray that comes down. It keeps them fresh and hydrated so they last longer. They have a very smooth, shiny outside. Down here we have a variety of different squashes. We have a yellow squash, which is a summer squash. It is a little different than the squashes we saw at the co-op. Those are winter squashes. And then another summer squash is a zucchini. So these are kept in a different storage. These are normally refrigerated or kept in a cooler place. They do not last long on the shelf like a winter squash does, and it has to do with the thickness of their skin. And here we have some Brussels sprouts. They almost look like little baby cabbages. They're in the same family. Their leaves surround this core. They're very little, a little bit bigger than a bouncy ball, I would say. And you can see all that moisture on there. Again, that's from that sprayer, and it helps keep them fresh to last longer. Green beans always make me think of summer. They're longer, they're pretty stiff before you cook them when they're raw. They have little teeny stems. That's from where they were attached to their plant. They're a vibrant green color, and they have a smooth outside. It's always so fun to see a beet in its full form. Earlier we saw just the base, just that root part that grows in the ground, but really there is so much more to the plant that can be enjoyed. There's long stalks and leaves can be cut up and sauteed and served with dinner as a side. They can be put into a salad. I like to fry mine up and saute them with my eggs like an omelet. They're so flavorful, and often people think that it's not edible, but you can enjoy it, just like the beet. There is a tropical fruit section. We got bananas that are smooth and yellow. They're green when they're unripened, and they turn yellow as they ripen. There's some alfalfa mangoes, which are smaller and yellow. You can see some tones of orange there, yellow, and even green. But when we compare it over here, we see a mango that has green, it has red, it has some yellow orange in between. It's a different size. So even though they're in the same mango family, they're two different types. In between the mangoes, we can find some kiwis. Now these are very interesting. The outside is so very fuzzy. You can see those little hairs on there. It's scruffy like carpet or a beard. And from personal experience, I've eaten a kiwi before, and the inside is bright green. And you would not know that by its darker brown exterior. Now here are those winter squashes like we saw earlier. We got some butternut squash that is a creamy, rich, soft color. It's the largest of them all. We have the green acorn squash that has a ripply outside. Even though the skin itself is smooth, the shape is not smooth. And here on the end we have a spaghetti squash that is a bright yellow color. These are all winter squashes. They are not kept in a cool place like a fridge, like a summer squash. These are normally kept in the same place as potatoes and onions. They are harvested in late fall and are able to overwinter very well and be enjoyed in the springtime too even. And our final section will be the onions. We see the sweet onions are very similar to a yellow onion. Their shape is a little different. They're much more flat. They're not quite as big as a yellow onion, where if we come over here to the yellow onions, you'll find that they're very round. I would classify these, they're almost like an orange. They're a golden yellow color. Here though, we have a similar onion, that's the white onion. So they're the same shape. They're about the same sizes, but those colors are very different, aren't they? And another different version is that red onion. I think it's almost purple. Its outer skins are kind of red, where its inside part is purple. So even though all these onions have different colors, they are still in the same onion family. They also have a reduced produce section. So this is a great way to find some items that are on sale. They work really well if you're going to be using them those same days. They are just not the most perfect, and that does not take away from their flavor. It does not take away from their quality. It just means that they're ready to go, or they might not be wanted by most people. But just because something's a little different, like how that's pushed in, it doesn't make it bad.